Welcome to Root and Rewire, a grounded, mystical space for awakening, remembering, and becoming. I'm Kayla, and here we explore the shifts, the stories, and the synchronicities that reshape us from the inside out, along with the mystical, the unseen, and the magic that's woven into everyday life. Take a deep breath, soften into yourself, and let's begin. All right. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Root and Rewire. I'm Kayla. And I really wanted to use this time to pick back up where we left off with last week, talking about the sacred feminine and how I began to experience it for myself, and now moving into the greater depth that I've been able to reach when it comes to understanding polarity and the sacred feminine, the sacred masculine, but really more so diving into these sacred feminine goddesses that are within each and every single one of us, and how together, along with the masculine, they create this sort of beautiful harmonic resonance. And how I believe this to be one of the main reasons why we're here is obviously we are experiencing life as this soul here in this 3D and this experience, but at the same time, we're here to raise the frequency. We're here to raise the vibration, starting with each and every single one of us on an individual, on a micro level. And the more that we can do on that micro level, the more that it radiates to the macro, and the more that we're able to help the light to rise within the world that we are living in right now. And I was a little disappointed because I actually recorded this podcast episode yesterday, and it was perfect. I felt the channel come through me. My guides are here with me, my ancestors, my higher self source, obviously. They're all here with me. And yesterday, the message that came through was so profound. I'm saying that now, and I hadn't re-listened to it. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't, but it did record, but it sounded like there was some sort of film over my voice and you couldn't hear it. And I went to edit it today and I was like, oh, wow. I thought I would be so much more angry and so much more frustrated, but instead it felt like an opportunity to redo, to get a second chance and see what comes through this time, because obviously it's going to be much different than what I recorded yesterday. But like I said in the beginning, this podcast is really about diving into the sacred feminine and what comes through within the sacred feminine, diving into the archetypes, diving into the archetypes that come up in different mythologies that we have seen across ancient traditions. And although we're going to focus mainly on the Hindu, the Tantric tradition, and all the goddesses that, they speak about, we do make connections to other ancient traditions and the feminine archetypes that they had passed through. And it's really interesting having this conversation to know that these concepts of harmonic balance, of the sacred feminine, the sacred masculine, have been alive. They've been shared and spoken about forever, since the very beginning, since Egypt, since all of it. And it's just beautiful when you start to really tap into the ancient teachings and what they have within the wisdom, what it is for them to share, and there's meaning. If it's passed down from that long ago, hello, they knew something. They knew more than we do, probably. So I'm really excited to bring this episode to you, and my hope is that with this, I know I was sparked when it comes to understanding these goddesses and the sacred feminine, but I really hope that this episode, or even just a small parts of it, resonate within you so that you can take this deep dive into what your true essence is. It's really easy to not feel it, right? With the distraction, with the masks that we've created, with these attachment styles, with the, people-pleasing personalities, all of these things that have followed us since our childhood. It's easy to not feel that essence. But then at the same time, it is also easy to feel that essence. And it really begins by having that Kali archetype, by having the illusions begin to dissolve, to be removed, to fall away. And that is when we are able to fully come face to face with who we truly are and what we are here to do. And my initiation, I feel, was really sparked by my last relationship ending. And this ending of this relationship was so different than my first relationship. My first relationship after it ended, I had never dated before. I started dating when I was 20, hadn't dated before then. And so after my first relationship of 4.5, 5 years ended, I was really excited to get back out there and to see what are people like, what are these men like? What are these females like when it comes to friendships? Like, what is out there? Let me explore. Let me see. Let me understand. And found myself, a few months later in my next relationship. And when this relationship ended, it was so different. It really felt like I was processing so much grief that didn't only come from my relationship and didn't only come from the state of the world and, this collective conscious feeling that we're all feeling, but it also came from this feeling that I have since, for as long as I can remember, been carrying around these false identities of who I am. I have been shrinking myself. I have been holding back my voice. I have been making myself small to make these men, these people in my life, comfortable. And the anger, along with the grief that was coming through, and when the anger spoke to me, when I was able to get to a place of neutrality and just witness it and speak to, where are you coming from? Why are you so strong? And it told me, my anger said, I will keep coming up at a 50% or higher until you can finally step into your own voice, until you can learn to put yourself first instead of thinking about other people before you. You are doing yourself a disservice, and I'm here to show you that. And I was like, God, so good. Oh, so good. And it's so true. And it's not until these fantasies of these relationships and these friendships and this life that we want to live, it's not until we are hit with the reality of who we are that we begin to understand how much of a disservice we may have been doing ourselves for such a long time, how much we've carried not only our trauma, but the trauma of our parents and their parents and the ancestors that came before us. It is when it starts to fall away, it's when we get so angry to the point of, I am not doing this anymore. Something isn't right. What is it? It's not until we get to that point where we are finally able to realize, wait, this is not who I am. This is not what I came here to be. This is not the way I came here to act. I'm acting like I'm 5 years old. My inner child is this part of me that's felt so abandoned and who just wanted to be loved is making the appearance, is guiding the show when I am meant to. I'm here to reparent that little girl and to take control of my own life and to start living from a place of authenticity and love instead of my trauma. And you know what I've come to realize? I know we've had a conversation about emotions before and how potent and strong that they are, but how fucking amazing are they? Can we just talk about that for a minute? Can we just talk about how amazing emotions are? The whole spectrum of them. Because each and every single emotion has a message for us that we're meant to understand. There's a lesson within that emotion. And this life is not all about smiling and life and love. and light, and I said life and love. Love and light. It's not all about being soft all the time and accommodating. Sometimes it is about being fucking angry. Sometimes it is about feeling grief. Sometimes it is about feeling shame. Because it's through those emotions that we're able to not only connect with the humanness, the humanity of it all, but we're also able to dive in even deeper. Can you imagine if we just lived every single day as this sparkly, glittery fairy? Can you imagine? I mean, how much could we actually grow from that? We can't. That is why we are here. And so, with that, let's actually get to the core of what this conversation is really about. And that is the sacred feminine. There are moments in everybody's life where something begins to break open, something ruptures. And that could be a relationship, an intimate relationship that ends. It can be a friendship that ends. It could be an identity that dissolves. It could be feeling the state of the collective consciousness within the world right now. It could be a version of you that once felt stable, but now feels extremely unfamiliar. And ancient traditions didn't always see these moments as failures or something to run away from. They saw them, as the way that I see it, as initiations. Lately, I've been exploring something that has been really resonating with me deeply. This ancient feminine, the ancient feminine archetypes, the goddesses that are in Tantra, that are known as the Mahavidyas. And before we dive in, I think it's really important for me to note that I am not in any way a tantric teacher or practitioner. I'm really, truly, simply just someone who has been exploring these goddesses and these archetypes on my own, noticing how closely they mirror the cycles that we move through in our own lives. And this exploration really came from my last breakup. And that's when I really started to realize that this was an initiation for me and my soul. In Hindu mythology, there is a very, very powerful story that you may have heard about the goddess Sati and the god Shiva. Sati loved Shiva so deeply. And Shiva represents pure consciousness, represents the still, the witnessing presence of the universe. But Sati's father, Daksha, despised Shiva. He saw him as a wild, strange, unworthy god for Sati. And one day, according to this mythology, Daksha held a massive ceremonial gathering and invited all different gods except for Shiva. Sati decided to go to confront her father. When she arrived, her father publicly insulted her husband and rejected not only their union, but also her. And she was devastated, overcome with grief and fury. Sati stepped into the sacrificial fire and she burned herself alive. When Shiva had learned what had happened, he was consumed with sorrow. He lifted Sati's body and wandered the universe in grief. Later, Tantric traditions say that before this moment, Sati revealed herself in 10 powerful forms, 10 fierce goddesses surrounding Shiva in every direction. These 10 forms became known as the Mahavidyas, the 10 great wisdom goddesses. And each one of them represented a different expression of the inner feminine power. So I tapped on this in the beginning, but what really fascinated me when it came to reading about these was that the feminine archetypes appear across almost every ancient civilization. You go back to Egypt and you see Isis and Sekhmet. Oh, I love the name Sekhmet. You go to Greece and you see Athena and Aphrodite and Artemis. In Mesopotamia, we see Inanna. Different cultures, all very different stories, but they all have the same energetic patterns that appear over and over. The nurturing mother, the sensual lover, the fierce warrior, the destroyer of illusions. I'm getting chills. It's almost as if these ancient civilizations understood that the feminine psyche contains many dimensions, and they gave those dimensions faces. So in Hindu mythology, there are many beloved goddesses. The traditional feminine goddesses that we hear about are Parvati, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga. These goddesses often represent the more harmonious expressions of feminine energy. Parvati, she represents devotion, love, sacred partnership. Lakshmi represents abundance, fertility, beauty, prosperity. Saraswati represents wisdom, creativity, knowledge. Durga is a representation of protection and fierce, powerful courage. And something beautiful about these goddesses is that they're often shown in union with masculine deities. You have Parvati with Shiva, you have Lakshmi with Vishnu, and you have Saraswati with Brahma. These unions symbolize something way deeper than relationship. They symbolize balance. And the feminine energy, which is often called Shakti, represents movement, creativity, emotion, sensuality, and transformation. The masculine energy is a representation of just awareness, of grounding, of presence and structure, discipline. When those two energies move together, that is the harmonic balance, the harmonic resonance. But Tantra takes the idea of these feminine goddesses, these feminine archetypes, and even deeper through the Mahavidyas. The Mahavidyas represent the full spectrum of feminine power. Not just the beauty, not just the nurturing, but the rage, the destruction, truth, sensuality, emptiness, creativity. They show us that feminine energy isn't just soft, but it's cosmic. It destroys illusions. Ugh, love it. It creates worlds. It burns away identities that are no longer aligned with truth. And this is what I so love about the Tantric tradition and just learning about the different goddesses that are representations of this sacred feminine consciousness, is that the way that we have been born and raised here in the United States, we were taught that being feminine meant being a mother. It meant that you take care of your husband, you take care of the kids. Your life is revolved around being nurturing. And these goddesses show us that there is more to us than just that. That is a section, that is a part, being nurturing, being a nurturing mother. That is an archetype. However, the range of emotions that we feel, the range of which that we are, is feminine. We are the anger. We are the devotional lover. We are the sensual, powerful, beautiful, creative. We are all of that. Some teachers describe the Mahavidyas as a kind of map of awakening. And it's not necessarily, especially as we go through these, it's not a perfect step-by-step, you go here, then you go here, and then you go here, but it's more of a cyclical rotation of energies that can appear as we move through our own transformation, our own awakening. And the journey often begins with Kali. Kali is the goddess of radical transformation. She destroys illusions. She tears down false identities. She burns away that what is not true. Many people encounter Kali energy during moments like breakups, loss, grief, or spiritual awakenings. This is exactly what happened with me. And I think this is why I was so called to learning about these goddesses. Even before my breakup, I think maybe a month or a few weeks before, I experienced Kali's energy. Kali came to me the night before I went to sleep, and I just knew shit was about to hit the fan in a purely loving way. I knew my life was about to get rocked. I knew it. And so as we move through these goddesses, we have Kali, the energy of destruction. Then we move into Tara. Tara represents guidance. Tara is the intuitive voice that begins to emerge after the chaos settles. Then there is Tripura Sundari. She represents the beauty, the sensuality, and the realization that life itself, and every aspect of it, is sacred. Okay, so we talked about 3 so far. I want to pause here and just say, like I said earlier, I'm not a practitioner. I may not pronounce these next names right. I just want to preface. So if you hear mine and then you go to look it up and you're like, wait, what? This is because I'm trying here. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, after Tara and after Tripura Sundari, we have Vaneshwari. Her energy is expansive. It's the ability to hold life with an open heart rather than constantly trying to control everything. And I think it's around this time that you really start to feel the slowness. You have the destruction, you have the intuition, you have the realization that life is sacred, and then you move into this softness. It's almost like your hands and knees on the floor and you start to surrender. And this is where we really start to feel that energy shift, where we move into something much more trusting. So after her, we encounter Chinnamasta. She represents the surrender of the ego, releasing these identities that we have used to define ourselves. It's where we really start to question, what am I holding on to? What was I holding on to? And why is this false? Why is this not in alignment? Then after Chinnamasta, there's Bhairavi. Bhairavi represents the energy of discipline, of devotion, of the sacred commitment to truth. Then we move into Dhimavati. Dhimavati is a representation of the void. Huh. Sexy. The phase where everything feels stripped away. But it's even within this void that Tantra sees this emptiness as deeply fertile. Then we encounter Bagalamukhi. She represents the mastery of the mind, the ability to stop destructive thoughts and reclaim our own inner power. Then comes Matangi. Matangi is the archetype of authentic voice and creative expression. And then finally is Kamala. Kamala represents pure integration, abundance, harmony, and living fully in the world while also remaining spiritually aligned. This is the full cycle of transformation as described by the Mahavidyas. So when my relationship ended, I experienced it like most people do as tragedy. I'm dramatic. I'm a very dramatic person. I experienced it as tragedy. I experienced it as loss of who am I? Why am I alone? I'm going to be alone forever, even though it was my decision to break off the relationship. But I just was feeling this intense grief of this future that I thought I was going to have. And also, is there anything better out there? But the deeper that I looked at what was happening, and as I was processing all of these emotions internally, the more it felt like something archetypal. It felt almost like a hero's journey. It was very ancient, this feeling, and it felt like Kali energy. Everything that wasn't aligned with my truth began dissolving, and it happened after I made the declaration of committing myself to my authenticity. That's when Kali appeared. That's when everything began breaking away. And as I started learning about Tantra and the Mahavidyas, I realized that these goddesses describe something that many of us experience during our deep, profound moments of inner transformation, of breakups, identity shifts, awakenings, moments where life burns away what is no longer authentic. And I think this is part of this journey of being. We move through these moments in our life that are represented by these archetypes. In Tantra, the dynamic feminine energy of the universe is called Shakti. Shakti moves, she creates, she transforms, but she's always balanced by Shiva. Shiva represents stillness, awareness, the witnessing presence behind everything. Shakti is the energy of life. Shiva is the consciousness that holds it. And when these two forces unite within us, that's where transformation becomes wisdom. I believe that I'm here for many different purposes. One of those is just being a light bearer, sharing my light as much as I can in my inner circles with the people that matter most to me, through people that I experience for the first time. I'm meant to share my light. I'm meant to serve. But I also feel as if I'm here for something much bigger, which to me can be defined as divine union. And not only is it, I feel, a mission of mine to find divine union and partnership, but also to find divine union within myself. To not look externally for something to complete me, but to complete myself. And to do that, it is through mastering the emotions. It is through burning away my attachments and my attachment styles and this anger and, this trauma that I'm carrying, this karma that I'm carrying. But it's also to learn how to balance my own masculine and feminine energies, to bring myself into harmony. And as we all should know by now, normally what we seek in a partner is a part of us that is looking to be manifested. It's a part of us that's looking to emerge itself. The energy already lives within us. If you're drawn to somebody who creates art, there's a part of you that wants to be opened up creatively and maybe dive into more creative endeavors. If you are committed to someone who is deeply disciplined, that part of you also wants to be awakened. There's a part of you that needs container, that needs practice, that needs that. If you are drawn to someone who is deeply spiritual, that part of you is looking to be online. And so, especially through my breakup, and as I was looking at these patterns of men that I've drawn in, and this next man that I'm looking to call in, it was a man who was balanced, a man that was grounded. I didn't really see him doing anything, but I felt it was a man that was on his mission. A man that I didn't have to emotionally caretake because he's already deeply explored his inner depths himself. He knows his reason for being. And I was thinking to myself, this is looking to be awakened within me, the part of me that is balanced and is grounded and knows why I'm here, who is living her purpose, her dharma. And so I told myself, I will not, first of all, get into a partnership that isn't that level of divine union. But I also will not even begin to look for a partner until I feel as if I have done the most amount of work in balancing myself and bringing myself into pure harmony, who is living her mission, who's living her purpose, who's using her voice, who's no longer hiding or shrinking herself, who is out there in the world as what I came here to be. I don't know how long this is going to take. I have no idea. And I know it's going to be deeply lonely. But I will not accept less than. I will not. Because I know what I deserve. And also, I'm moved to be able to have the opportunity to do this inner work. And I am not afraid anymore to look into my life and see, what is this not serving? Is this even serving me? Is it? Or is this just another pattern that I'm creating? What work do I need to do here to bring it back into alignment if it's meant to be? I have experienced many years of loneliness. I have gone through times, long periods of times, where it was just me. And I did look loneliness in the eye. I was in the void. I've been there. And if I must go back, I guess I will. And if it happens, it's going to be really fucking hard. But if it is meant to be, then it is meant to be. Whatever my soul is here to do, however I'm meant to move in this world, so fucking be it. And my guides are patting me on the shoulder right now. They're like, we're here, honey. You're being humbled. Okay, got it. So, maybe these goddesses aren't just mythological figures. Maybe they are mirrors. Mirrors showing us the many faces of the divine feminine power that lives within each and every single one of us, no matter your identity, no matter how you identify as. The rage, the beauty, the sensuality, the grief, the creativity, the wisdom, and maybe when life breaks us open, It isn't the end of something. And I could feel our guides cheering and clapping. They want us to take that hard road. They want us to. Don't go settle for something that is less than. Keep walking your path. That is where expansion comes. And I feel maybe a lot of us are experiencing this in our own personal life. Maybe a lot of us are feeling this push-pull. We are feeling this, should I? Oh, I don't know if I want to. Oh, that seems so lonely. Oh, that seems so hard. Yes, do it. Do it. The end isn't the end. It is a beginning. Look at it in a different light. It is Kali beginning her work, honey. Burning away what is false so that something deeper, something truer, something more aligned can finally emerge within you. So, how do we begin? Kayla, this archetype really resonated within me. How do I begin to move along this path? Well, honey, which feminine archetype is it that you feel most connected to right now? What is that energy? What is that energy telling you? What is it trying to tell you? What is it trying to get you to do? Do that. Where in the cycle of transformation do you feel like you are? Are you avoiding something? Are you avoiding a decision that you know is hard, but you also kind of feel like it's in your highest and greatest good to do? It is a step-by-step, small, little skip, boop, boop, boop process. It is not a, here I am, now here's the end. No. It is chapter 1 of a 50-page chapter. When this book ends, a next book is going to open, and a new transformation is going to begin. But that is what life is about. It is about doing the difficult things sometimes because we know that we are meant for more. We know that there is more, and we know that we deserve more. So begin, baby. Begin, please. And I'm not just saying this because I'm here and I would love for someone else to be here with me to talk me through it. But because you deserve it. You do. Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, gosh. This was a good one. I'm glad. You know what? I'm really glad that my first episode did not record correctly. And honestly, I'm kind of scared to stop this and to listen to it back because if it happens again, then I'm going to know, okay, this message was just for me. Let's talk about something else. But I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply honored. If you're listening to this, thank you. I will see you next week's episode. As always, if you feel called to, please dive in deeper on your own. If something resonated, do your own research. Maybe how I interpret is not how you interpret. Please feel free to leave a comment. We would love to hear what ideas, what things you want to learn about, because maybe it's something I am meant to learn about, and we're supposed to do it together. So please share if you feel called to. I will see you in the very next episode next week. I love you. You got this. Mwah. Thank you so much for your support and tuning in today. If this episode supported you and you would like to share, or if you're just looking for someone to connect with, you can find me on Instagram at Soil and Soul Sister. I hope to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. And until next time.